Hello everybody, I'm Van, this is Tit for Tat Gaming, and welcome to Marvel's Avengers. Today what I want to do is go over the skill sets of Tony Stark, the one and only Iron Man. Okay, delving into the primary skill tree, I will be skipping over the skill tree aside from pointing out a few skills that you may want to add to your repertoire, such as Muon Shotgun and Slingshot are a very good repulsor blast that you would want to add because they help you during your mobility. As for lasers, we have Whirling Tempest. Takes out groups of enemies just like in Iron Man 2. Power Dive, so when you need to hit the ground quickly, but don't be like me and fall right into an enemy attack. Okay, in the specialty tree, we have Support Heroics. Iron Man let loose an Arc Overload, which is basically an EMP. It stuns nearby enemies and breaks block. With Arc Infusion, you can make sure that the teammates near you gain 100% of their intrinsic ability. With Arc Overcharge, the teammates who are hit by it will instantly become overcharged, which is a great way to keep their abilities going in the middle of battle. Arc Extension keeps the Arc Overload going for 3 seconds. If you know about specializations, you know that you can only choose one from this list, and the one I've chosen is Arc Field. Enemy projectiles cannot enter the bubble, but projectiles from the inside will always pierce through. It's a great protective barrier for your entire team. If that's not your thing, you can always get the EMP. Using the Arc Overload triggers an electromagnetic pulse, which deals stun damage to all nearby enemies. Arc Supercharge. Increase the duration of Supercharge when you activate Arc Overload. In Specialization 2, we have EMP Amplifier. This increases the range of the EMP by 30%. Defensive Field sends enemy projectiles right back at them. And Arc Jolt. This brings fallen teammates right back to life. Next up, we have the Assault Heroic, which is the Unibeam, which is of course a huge cannon shot straight from Iron Man's chest. With efficient coils, you can increase the charge rate of the Unibeam by 15%. Doesn't sound like a lot, but I get it back quite often. With Overcharge Blast, you get 25% more damage when you are overcharged. Release the EMP, follow it up with the Unibeam, and you'll be tearing through enemies like wet paper. Okay, we got Unibeam Specialization 1. The first one here is Precision Refractor. Increase the Unibeam's duration by 3 seconds to increase your damage output. Reserve Capacitors. This gives you 3 Unibeam charges, but they're quick bursts instead of 1 beam. With Omega Beam, you send out 3 powerful beams. Doesn't last as long as it would with Refractor, but it does very high damage and breaks block. In Unibeam Specialization 2, we have Concentrated Fire. Unibeam deals more damage the longer it's maintained on one target. With Triple Down, if you defeat 3 enemies in succession with 1 Unibeam, you overcharge your abilities. With Energy Condenser, your enemies drop a heroic orb every time they're defeated by Unibeam. It's great for getting that Unibeam right back up there. Of course, Iron Man has his Hulkbuster as his ultimate. It's a great defensive tool, and let's look at a few of the things you can do with it. With Power Beam, you can hold a laser right over an enemy just by holding the attack button. With Magnum Missile, you can seek and destroy dozens of enemies at a time. However, it does use a lot of your energy, and you will find yourself outside of the Hulkbuster just as quickly as you jumped into it. With Hyper Reactor, the Hulkbuster remains deployed for 5 more seconds. Your choices in Hulkbuster Specialization are Hulkbuster Unibeam, which gains a Unibeam for the Hulkbuster. It costs pretty substantial energy, so use it sparingly. You could also go for Disruption Pulse, which immobilize nearby enemies and cost very low energy. Magnum Missile Barrage takes the amount of enemies you can target from 5 to 8. In Specialization 2, we have Hyper Coils. It allows the Hulkbuster to be deployed for 5 more seconds, stacking well with Hyper Reactor. With the Energy Star, the cost of actions with the Hulkbuster goes down by 25%. With Titanium Bravado, if you punch any enemy, that enemy and nearby enemies will be taunted, drawing their attention. In the defensive tree, we have Energy Pulse. If you're about to be attacked, hit the block button to counter with an energy field. With Energy Shunt, the Energy Pulse will increase your intrinsic energy by 15%. With energy barrier, Iron Man gains a shield which stays in front of him until it is destroyed. It has high energy cost, so be careful. With Rampart, defeating enemies near the energy barrier will boost your intrinsic energy by 10 points. Stronghold increases the energy barrier duration by 2 seconds. Parry Strike allows you to attack right after a successful parry. The Mastery Tree is where you take your character where you truly want them to go. As you can see, my Iron Man is built for ranged attacks, so some of these skills are perfect for me. Under melee upgrades, we have Stun Mastery, which increases stun damage dealt by 15%. Air Combat Mastery increases critical attack damage done when juggling opponents in the air. With Combo Finisher Mastery, you increase the damage of all combo finishers by 25%. Under takedown upgrades, we have Willpower Takedown Mastery, which spawns a regen pack every time you perform a takedown. With Heroic Takedown Mastery, you spawn a Heroic Orb every time you perform a takedown. With Intrinsic Takedown Mastery, you spawn an Intrinsic Orb every time you perform a takedown. Under Ranged Weapon Mastery, we have Repulsor Mastery, increase critical attack damage for repulsors attacks by 15%. Laser Mastery increases stun damage for all laser attacks by 20%. Rocket Mastery increases damage with rockets by 12%. Repulsor Specialization increases the rate of fire by repulsor attacks by 10%. Laser Specialization reduces the cost of aimed laser attacks by 10%. Repulsor Efficiency decreases intrinsic energy cost for repulsor attacks by 10%. Laser Efficiency decreases the cost of laser attacks by 10%. And Rocket Efficiency decreases the cost of rocket attacks by 10%. Arc Reactor Capacity increases the maximum amount of intrinsic supercharge you can have by 15%. This mouthful here, Arc Reactor Kinetic Atomizer, increases intrinsic energy dealt by light attacks by 16% per hit. Perfect Evade Intrinsic Boost. Grant 15 points of intrinsic energy whenever you do a perfect evade. Stun Intrinsic Boost. Stunning an enemy instantly gives you 25 points of intrinsic energy. Overcharge Damage Boost increases damage for all attacks, while overcharged by 12.5%. Overcharge Defense Boost reduces damage while overcharged by 20%. Overcharged Heroic Boost increases the charge rate for all heroic meters while overcharged by 10%. Energy Shield Efficiency reduces the cost of the energy shield by 15%. Reactive Generator grants 15 intrinsic energy when parrying attacks. Energized Pulse adds shock damage to the energy pulse attack. God damn it. With Empowering Barrier, you regenerate 5% intrinsic energy when near the energy barrier. With Reflective Barrier, the energy barrier will now reflect projectiles back at the attacker. With Tactical Barrier, anyone near the energy barrier gains 15% critical chance. With Afterburner, you can fly at increased speeds at the cost of intrinsic energy. With Countermeasures, you can produce energy flares to distract tracking projectiles. With Air Superiority, you increase the damage of ranged attacks while flying by 15%. And that is it for Iron Man. I hope this helped you decide if you want to play as the Armored Avenger. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Van, this is Tit for Tat Gaming, and I'll see you next time.